in COMELEC. She was a commissioner at the Commission on Audit and the former mayor of Cadiz City in Negros Occidental. I am Regine Cabato of the Washington Post, and I'm your co-moderator for today. Feel free to use the video that we'll be coming up with today, but please credit the Foreign Correspondents Association in your reports. So siguro po to get the ball rolling, thank you, Commissioner, for joining us today. And just as a question to start off, and after this, we'll be taking questions from the foreign press, alternately with the local press. So 2 questions first from the foreign press, and then we'll have somebody from the local, and then 2 questions again from the foreign press. But siguro pa just to get the ball rolling, what can we expect in the coming days? What's the way forward po, or what will happen to the DQ case if no decision comes out before you retire? And just as
what
forward,
people
or what
do
will
not
happen to
yet
the DQ
realize,
case
but
if no
what
decision
Commissioner
comes
Marlon
out
Casqueo
before
and I
you
already
retire?
know is that Commissioner Ferolino did this so that both of us yet realize, but Casqueo and I cannot cast our votes. I think they suspect that Commissioner Casqueo is also for DQ after I released my vote on January 17. So it's not just my vote that's being defeated by our junior member. Both senior commissioners' votes, Commissioner Casqueo and my vote, are being defeated because this way we cannot cast our votes. Why? Because Commissioner Casquejo is moving to the 2nd division as presiding commissioner and therefore cannot vote starting February 3 in the 1st division, where the DQ is raffled. Commissioner Socorro Inting will be taking my place as the presiding commissioner of the 1st division, and then so she will vote on the DQ. Now, because there is this reshuffling of commissioners, this case should be re-raffled. It should no longer be in Commissioner Ferolino's hands. Now, that is the call of the presiding commissioner because she already lost the privilege of writing a draft resolution while the 2 of us are in office. So since this is a different composition, so there will be different signatures, it should be re-raffled so that another commissioner of the 1st division will be writing the draft resolution, what we call the ponencia. You see, people now should realize that Commissioner Ferolino's delay was really intentional, orchestrated, and she conspired with others to defeat my vote and the vote of Commissioner Casquejo, who is also moving to the 2nd division on February 3 while I retire on February 3.
Okay. Just a couple of quick follow-up questions, Commissioner. Have you been in correspondence with Commissioner Casquejo, and kumusta po yung feedback?
Well, we were just texting now, and he said, I'm transferring to the 2nd division on February 3. And I told him, that's right. That's why I sent you that link to Karen Davila's show, because it's not only me who will not be able to vote, but you will also not be able to vote. And he said, yes, because I'm transferring to the 2nd division as presiding commissioner.
Okay.
It's like never happened before that a junior commissioner can hijack our resolution and the senior commissioners cannot vote. How dare Ferolino? But she's a very junior commissioner, and yet she does not follow protocol and courtesy. So there must be somebody or some bodies really powerful behind her to defeat our DQ vote. Maybe they suspect also that Commissioner Marlon Casqueo's vote is a DQ because he's very secretive about it. I don't even know what his vote is.
I see. We'll be taking questions first from the foreign press, no? And first up, we have Jam Alindogan of Al Jazeera. Jam.
Okay. Hi, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Hi.
You're able to hear me. Good afternoon, po. Anyway, just to pick up what you mentioned earlier, no, from what you mentioned earlier, you said that that Commissioner Ferrolino may be acting in conspiracy with some other people. Can we just be very direct, Commissioner? Who do you think these people are? Because I think you were also quoted to having said that there was a senator who asked the commissioner to also, in a way, indirectly to freeze the balls. So why?
I already informed Senate President Soto.
Okay.
So I'm just waiting for him to, get back to me. We agreed to discuss this matter over the telephone.
Okay.
So let it be in the Senate,
Okay.
where I have protection under privileged communication. Because this some of these senators can be heavy-handed and arrogant.
Is that what you plan to do?
Well, I already informed the Senate President.
Okay.
Because he's the one who has authority.
Right.
And I already released my separate opinion to the public yesterday. Have you read it?
Yes, ma'am. It's right here.
It's beautifully written, don't you think so?
Do you plan to? Does it mean that you plan to name the person who was basically conspiring, as you mentioned?
I already named him to Senate President Soto. So the public will just have to wait on that. Let's focus on Bongbong Marcos. This is the second time I'm fighting another Ferdinand Marcos. I'm 64 years old already. Ferdinand Marcos, I disqualified him because he's convicted 4 times of a crime involving moral turpitude. And when he was convicted twice in the regional trial court, in the Court of Appeals, he even deliberately did not pay the fine. Up to the day before our hearing, he did not pay the fine. And the receipt that he showed was a photocopy. Photocopies are not admissible in court, no matter what they put there, which, by the way, they made a mistake because that receipt, photocopy, says it's payment for lease rentals, So there's no mistake about it. Under summary procedure, we are only required to have enough substantial evidence by which we can make our decision. This is not a criminal case where we have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. No, only substantial evidence. What more substantial can it be when he did not pay taxes for 4 years? And when convicted, he did not pay the fine. So it's really more turpitude. Is there a correspondent from Australia? Because I was told that in Australia, when you apply for citizenship and you violate traffic, that's moral turpitude, and they cancel your application for citizenship. Isn't that right?
Okay, thank you. Reg, may I be allowed to ask another question?
Go ahead, Pam.
Ma'am, just your take on this. What do you think is do you think that is the non-payment of income tax, non-filing of income tax, or the non-payment of fines mandated by final decision or a court? Do you see this an impeachable offense for a sitting president who takes his oath to faithfully execute all laws, in your opinion?
Look, this is a disqualification case. So it is in the interest also of Marcos Jr. and all the Marcos loyalists that this case goes to the Supreme Court as soon as possible. Why? So that if he is disqualified by final judgment of the Supreme Court, his wife can then substitute before the election, so there's no confusion. However, if he does not, and he keeps on fighting this, and the Supreme Court disqualifies him, let's say May 10, the day after the elections, then he cannot even assume office. We don't have to impeach him because he cannot even assume office. It is the vice president-elect who will sit as president. Now, even if he wins and he takes his oath, and then the Supreme Court disqualifies him by final judgment 6 months after the election, he will be removed from office. The Supreme Court will remove him from office and the president-elect will sit as president. Now, they don't realize that. But what they're trying to do is they're just pushing it, knowing that he's disqualified and he's a weak leader. The President Duterte already said he's weak. Imagine he doesn't even show up by Zoom in our hearings. He cannot get up at 9 o'clock. What? He cannot wake up early? It will certainly create a conflict. What they're trying to do is push it so that they'll say, oh, the people have spoken. They've already voted for him, but you people, you're weak in the head because the Supreme Court doesn't buy the Supreme Court. This is not a political question. This is an election, for heaven's sake. But I already know what they're doing 10 steps ahead. That's why I'm telling the public, these people, they're creating, they're doing shenanigans. The people should know who you're voting for. It is my duty to disqualify disqualified candidates like Bongbong Marcos. It is not my duty to be nice to them, but now it's obvious. Feralino is doing this, so Commissioner Casqueo and I cannot vote. By golly. If I were still in Comelec, a few more months, I'll skin her alive.
Sige po, Kong Guanzon. Sam, would you like to jump in?
I'm great. I'm done.
Okay. All right. We'll talk a bit more about your about. I'm sure some more questions about Commissioner Faralino will come up. For now, we have a question also from Riza Robles of South China Morning Post. Riza, are you there?
Good afternoon, Commissioner Guanzon.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Riza, go ahead.
I'd like to ask you, could you paint for us what the atmosphere is like right now in Comelec, inside Comelec? I'm not asking you to disclose who. I'm just asking
inside Comelec, it's very quiet because we're about to retire tomorrow. So I'm just texting the commissioners. And then one commissioner texted back and said, thank you, Com, for your kind words when I described that, President Duterte should be appointing these people, they're practicing lawyers or they were justices of the Court of Appeals, they're city prosecutor of Manila. By golly, they have gravitas, they have legal experience, but it's Ferolino. She was election assistant, studied law at night, and then became election officer. She's never gone to court. So she doesn't know how to write decisions and relies on her lawyers. But this reliance is no longer an excuse because it shows very deliberately that she's really hijacking the resolution so that I and Commissioner Casqueo cannot vote. So she's obviously for Bongbong Marcos. And the question is, I keep on asking her the question because I have to ask her the question, you answer. Commissioner Ferolino, were you bought off? If you were not bought off, then you should release the resolution so that Commissioner Casqueo and I can vote. That's why I released my vote because people were saying, what am I waiting for my retirement bonus? By golly, if she was not paid or bought off, she should already release her resolution. But she's bearing all this, she's bearing all this shame like, like what do you call this? Like a dragon, because there's something at stake. There must be something very, very heavy at stake. So tomorrow we're all going to be in Sofitel, and we will dress in our robes.
I see, Commissioner.
And when we dress in our robes, we're above all people in the room. We will have an en banc session where you will be declared retired tomorrow. And that's a very formal occasion.
Yes. Commissioner.
And, I keep on saying that Chairman Abbas should have exerted leadership here.
I'm quite concerned.
Down because he's also retired. But instead, he just called her up and was satisfied with the memorandum explanation from Feralino.
I see. Commissioner, I'm quite concerned about tomorrow. Please tell me if I'm wrong, no? But tomorrow, 3 commissioners are retiring. And apparently, this leaves only 3 commissioners in the 7-commission body. And so you do not even have they will not even have a quorum. How will they get things done considering that 1 week from now, the campaign is going to go on full steam?
That's a very
and
good
there
question.
are so many things that going to have to be done. My corollary question to that is this, no? Because usually in previous elections, the commissioners are assigned different regions to organize, to see to it that things run
No,
on smoothly.
that's
But
no
with
longer
three
true.
commissioners, okay, but with three commissioners only, and all of them from Davao, and I
No,
think most of them,
one is from Muntinlupa. Commissioner Bulay is from
I
Muntinlupa.
see. But how will they operate COMELEC? And how will,
Oh,
you
this
know,
is
on top of that, they still have so many disqualification cases to
Yeah.
finish.
That's why my lawyers are not sleeping, because I told them I'm signing all tomorrow. You better be ready, because if you hang my zero backlog target, I'm gonna get you. And all of these people, they're from UP, you know. More than half of them are my students, and they know me. Tomorrow I will retire with zero backlog. Can you imagine? I will retire with honor and excellence. Zero backlog, except for this Marcos case, which anyway is not my ponensya, but still, we were not able to vote. Now, what's going to happen is like this. Only 3 will be left. Commissioner Socorro Inting as the most senior and probably the acting chair. Commissioner Bulay from Muntinlupa, and Commissioner Farelino. And in the NBank, the rule is it should be majority of those present. So there are only 3 of them. So the majority will be 2. 2 commissioners will be able to pass a vote. Now, can you imagine all these disqualification cases are pending? There are still cases pending for the cancellation, you know, the motion for reconsiderations, etc. But well, siya din eh. I'm sure she was also ponente in some other resolutions that now she cannot release it, because of course, how can she release it and for my promulgation when she has not released the Marcos case? Oh, so that's at least 2 cases that she cannot release also. That maybe those are the cases that she would like to release for some reason, but now she cannot, because I'm going to say, oh, where's the Marcos case? Kaliwaan tayo dito.
Are you
So
saying,
she cannot.
Commissioner?
You see, all of the cases in her raffled to her will no longer be, what do you call this? There will be no more effect, because that will have to be re-raffled since the composition of the first division has already will change on February 3. So out of 3, if 2 commissioners vote for a certain vote, then that vote will be carried. 2 out of 3.
Yeah, but of course, since Congress is in recess right now, President Rodrigo Duterte can appoint at once ad interim commissioners. Is that
Yes,
correct?
Yes, he can. I think the date is, yeah, he can now.
And
I think there's already a short list.
I see. But for the first time, our elections will actually be run by a COMELEC that's majority staffed by ad interim appointments.
Well, if the president appoints 3, even without the chair, that's okay. Their votes have the same effect, even if they are not yet confirmed.
I see.
Their votes are valid.
Okay.
Who is the most? Can you, Jamela? Can I just ask one more question?
Okay. Last question, Ms. Raisa.
Considering the, you know, how I mean, the commission will be staffed actually with commissioners who have hardly any experience in running a national election. How would that impact on the, you know, the integrity of the elections? Will they know what to do?
Well, I certainly hope so. But, you know, elections is a kind of, you know, you need really experience. But we have a very good deputy executive director for operations and an executive director who have been there for a long time. And we have Commissioner Marlon Casquejo, who's a senior commissioner, incoming, presiding of the second division, who was assistant regional director in Davao, and he's chair of the steering committee. And so he's the commissioner on top of all of these technical things, overseeing it in behalf of the NBank. Just like last time, when there was a glitch, I told Commissioner Casquejo, come with me, because I can have a second brain thinking about this glitch. So we went to PPCRB and discussed all of these technical problems. Was there really a failure of elections, and then we found out, well, it was just the server that was clogged. There was a bottleneck, and but still I asked in the NBank that the directors should explain why they did not anticipate this, so that Smartmatic could have designed a better program that will not will not have a bottleneck. It's like a highway, the transparency server and the main server. So parang they just created a 2-lane highway. They should have created 4 lanes. That's a simpler way to do it. So it will still continue, but the new commissioners will just have to be functioning in terms of policy making. For example, if there's failure of elections in Abra, failure of elections in BARM, you need a resolution for that.
Commissioner Guanzon, just super quickly, to clarify, because some people might be confused, as mentioned in the chat. So yung maiiwan po, diba, ay 4 na commissioners, right? And these are Inting, Casquejo, Ferrolino, and Dulay, correct?
That's right. Senior Commissioner Inting, former Justice of the Court of Appeals, Commissioner Bulay, former Commissioner PCGG and City Prosecutor of Manila, Commissioner Casquejo was former Assistant Regional Director, has been with the COMELEC Commission for 2 years, and then Ferrolino has been there only a few months and never had any practice of law in the courts experience.
We have another question coming up. Dwight from Raptor.
Hello po, ma'am. Good afternoon po, Com. Commissioner, parang kayo naging mata tsaka tenga namin sa NBank. Kasi
You again? You again?
Hello po. Ayun po. And
You again, huh? Are you De Leon?
Yes po. Yes po.
Yeah, you called me a he. In your article,
we corrected it po. We corrected po, ma'am. Ma'am,
I am not confused about my gender identity, Mr. De Leon. You are.
Ma'am, we would just like to if you can be candid lang po about the dynamics po in the COMELEC NBank. Specifically po your relationship with Chairman Abbas. Kasi kanina po you said na parang there is a leadership problem in COMELEC. So I wonder po how you can assess his term as COMELEC chairman.
Why will I assess his term? You already were privy to all these public skirmishes. But in that glitch, I was the one who saved this. I was the one who faced the public, not Abbas. That glitch. Even this one, I had a meeting in executive session, and I told them my problem. And one commissioner said, "It's your call, convene." And then I asked Chair Abbas, "Please, Chair, you help me. You call her up. You convince her. Because you're the chairman." She does not answer my text, does not answer the calls of Commissioner Marlon Casquejo. Oh, she must answer you. Instead, she just gave the chairman a memorandum, a litany of why she cannot decide some. If she spent so many hours writing a memorandum to chairman and to me, she should have been able to finish at least 5 pages of her resolution already. But she doesn't want to because something heavy is holding her back. You see? Chairman Abasa na yan, you know, we've been together many years. He's younger than me, so you know. Sometimes I just excuse his, you know, he has his own, what do you call this, career. But you know, we're both Ilonggos, so we know. Every time I come out on media, etc., you say in the man ko, si Kumbing yan eh, iba yan si Kumbing eh. You know, my colleagues know me very well. They know my personality and my capacity, and we have mutual respect, except for this Peralino.
And ma'am, si Commissioner Enting po, di ba yung papalit as or na acting chairman?
Speak English, Mr. De Leon. Speak English. We're with foreign correspondents here.
Yes, ma'am. So Commissioner Enting will replace Abbas as acting chairman of the COMELEC. So we'd just like to ask, what is she like as your colleague, and what do you think? Commissioner Enting.
Commissioner Enting is a very, what do you call this? Experienced lawyer. She was a public attorney, MTC judge, RTC judge, Court of Appeals. She's very well versed in Supreme Court jurisprudence, and she has what do you call this? She decides with also with prudence. Yeah. I think I don't think in fact she was able to resolve the cancellation case in less than 30 days. Because I told her that we already agreed, very probably January 17, we might come out with our resolution. And she said, we'll try to release it also around that time so that the people do not get anxious. You see, so we are responsible, mature professionals.
Dwight, if you're good with your questions already, we can call on Jacob Lazar of One News for your question. Or would you like me to read your question?
Hello.
Oh, Jacob.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my first question po is, let me just look for that. Okay, when will Commissioner Casquejo be transferred to the 2nd Division?
February 3, as presiding.
Okay.
We just texted.
Okay. And how will the retirement of the 3 commissioners this week further delay the pending petitions and maybe even the May elections? Like there are other pending petitions po kasi, di ba sabi niyo? So if there are only going to be 4 commissioners, how will this affect the decisions of these petitions?
Well, it's going to be slow. Because you're just raffling it to 4 people. Slow. Including mga recall. You know, it's going to be slow, definitely. Because, well, 4 instead of 7 people will be doing the job.
Okay, last question na lang po tungkol po dun sa matitira mga commissioners. Pwede po ba na 4 na lang sila matitira sa NBank and they alone can decide on the pending petitions? For example, the pending disqualification cases kay Marcos.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. If there's only 4 of them, then 3 will make a majority. Now, in the division, if there's only 2 of them and there's a tie, the acting chair will designate 1 commissioner to be the 3rd member for that case. And then in the NBank, for the motion for reconsideration, it will be 3 commissioners' votes will win out of 4. Kasi it's more than a majority.
Thank you so much po.
Thank you. Super apologies also to Gab Villegas. I misread the order. Actually, you were the one who was supposed to ask the next question. So let's call on you, Gab of Daily Tribune. Are you there?
Hello po, ma'am. Good afternoon po. May we ask, when did you inform Chairman Sheriff Abbas on the information on the senator who interferes with the release of the resolution? And also,
I have to look at my calendar. Because my last text, exchange of texts with Commissioner Farelino, was 24. And then we had an en-banc, I think that was 26, Wednesday. So I asked for an executive session, which of course Commissioner Farelino did not attend. And that's the day that I told Commissioner Abbas the problem, and I asked him for his help to call up Farelino.
we also heard that Senator Soto already
Knows, yes.
knows, yes. And may we ask if who the senator is this?
Oh no, you're probably the 20th person who asked me this. I already told the Senate President, I have to respect his, what do you call this? I told him that we will discuss it more lengthily over the phone, but you know, he's busy campaigning also.
Thank you, Gab. Next, we have JC Gutinga, FOCAP. JC, there.
Yeah. Yes, good afternoon, Commissioner Guanzon.
Yes.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm JC Gutinga from Benar News. Ma'am, there has to be a way for the commission to protect itself from decisions, proceedings like this being derailed by one commissioner. So supposing, as you have said, let
me cut you so that I can give you my answer. My solution there was to remove it from Commissioner Peralino and give it to Commissioner Casquejo. That is the reason why Commissioner Casquejo called her up. Because even if he's very busy with the operations, he was willing just to finish it. But she knew why he was calling, so she refused to answer his calls. Because in this urgency, the presiding commissioner can remove it and re-raffle it or transfer it to another commissioner. It was done before. But since she was holding on to it, and Commissioner Casquejo said, but she has to waive it. Because, you know, I don't want to, you know, get it from her without her consent. You know, out of courtesy, she should just have waived it on the 24th. Right. Commissioner Casquejo was willing to accept it even if he was already swamped with operations work. Right. He was already reading Supreme Court cases.
Right. Now, and you being the presiding commissioner, shouldn't you have the authority to just pull it out from her? And given
I would have.
It seems
that's why I asked for an executive committee session. I would have, except that Commissioner Casquejo said that he would like her to waive it. You know,
right,
with her consent. That's why I want the rules amended.
Okay.
I told them, you know, perhaps you could amend these rules now or later to say that the presiding commissioner, although we do have that authority, I just wanted it, in writing that there should be an amendment of the rules.
Right.
That in cases of national interest, etc., incapacity, ay, hindi pa ba ito? Isn't this really incompetence?
Right.
Incompetence in this case is already incapacity of a commissioner to resolve her ponensya within 15 days, which is our rule.
Right. It's obviously unjust and rather incompetent of her. So, ma'am, supposing that Commissioner Casquejo, for example, does as you did and releases his separate opinion, and it happens to concur with yours in that it favors disqualification, then doesn't that resolve the case? It's 2-1 already.
Well, I told you, but because he is really also very busy with operations, he wanted her to waive it. I cannot just force anybody. You know, I cannot force Commissioner Casquejo. There, if the file is with you, you resolve it. You know? Right. I cannot also say I will resolve it since you don't want to resolve it. I will resolve it. Well, see, there will be a question as to its validity, or you know how these people are. So instead, I just took my separate opinion to the people. So now the justices will read it because it's in the newspapers, it's in my website, it's online. So my intellectual work was not wasted. And then the next commissioners will certainly read it because they already have a copy.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Salamat po.
Thank you, JC. Next, we have Ellen Cruz.
Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon. I'm Ellen Cruz of Tokyo Shimbu. Ma'am, this is a matter of procedure. I'm sorry for my ignorance, but because there's another division that dismissed the petition to disqualify Marcos.
Cancellation. That's not disqualification. Cancellation of his certificate of candidacy.
So, ma'am, with the ruling on the first division, how would that be reconciled? That those two rulings. I'm just wondering what will happen with the ruling of the first division and the ruling.
Okay. Let me explain it.
Mhm.
Cancellation of the certificate of candidacy is based on the ground of material misrepresentation, willful, intentional, stating a fact that is not true, that is material to his candidacy. And in this case, he said that he is not disqualified by law. Because there's a question there, item number 21. Are you, do you have all the qualifications? He said yes. So now in the disqualification case, which is with us, you can file the disqualification case anytime. But the cancellation case, you have to file within 25 days from the filing of the certificate of candidacy. Now, the DQ is based on Section 12 of the Omnibus Election Code. In the case of Marcos, was he convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude? That is the disqualification case.
Ma'am, thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
Dreo of Bloomberg.
Hi, good afternoon, Commissioner. Ma'am, after all that's been said, this forum, I just want to ask for your honest assessment on who stands to benefit from all these delays in the disqualification cases.
Certainly, Marcos Jr. stands to benefit because I believe their grand design is for him to just run, finish the elections, hoping that he will really win without the Supreme Court yet ruling on his disqualification, and then hoping that the Supreme Court will also be slow in deciding it, so that he can sit as president for a few years, even if he is disqualified later. That is the grand design.
Ma'am, wouldn't that affect his, presuming that he wins, wouldn't... Sige po, ma'am.
My dogs are...
It's okay. It's a nice background noise.
I think she can still hear you naman. Sige, let's wait
I can
for
hear you. Go ahead.
Okay.
Ma'am, wouldn't that affect his legitimacy
Of...
if he wins? That he has a pending
if he wins and the Supreme Court will disqualify him, he will be removed from office.
Okay, ma'am.
I already said, I disqualified him based on those evidence. It shows really he's weak. President Duterte is correct. He's weak. He's really weak. Well, how can you... it really shows a weak moral fiber. Someone be governor, and he was absentee governor also. He convicted 4 times, did not even pay the fine, didn't even bother to say, hey, you people pay my fine because it's very shameful. He didn't care. He didn't care. He thinks it's above the law. He's spoiled. President Duterte is right. Well, I agree with him that Marcos Jr. is weak. He's spoiled. Well, that's already in his, commenting on his character. But I said, this weak moral fiber really shows in these cases. He has a weak moral fiber. That's why I had to disqualify him. Now, let's see if the Supreme Court will say I am correct or I'm not correct. So that's why it's in their best interest to just let this go up to the Supreme Court as soon as possible. And also the people, no? Because the Marcos loyalists, sayang naman, their votes will go to waste if he is disqualified even before the elections, and then he will not be their candidate. His wife will be replacing him.
Ma'am, wouldn't it have benefited him to clear his name before the elections? I mean, di ba on the flip side, if
It will
they
benefit
think-
him, but they don't think that way.
Okay.
They're just gonna force it, because they know their candidate is disqualified.
So they're not
That if he's voted into office, they can just say, the people have spoken. That's the grand design. But you should remember that Marcos Jr. already lost in this Supreme Court in his protest against Lente Robredo. He already lost. What makes them think that he can win this time?
That's a very good point. Ma'am, last for me, how do you think will all these drama and controversies in the COMELEC affect its integrity and the view of its independence coming into this very crucial and controversial elections that will hold in May?
Well, obviously now the integrity of the COMELEC is really shaky because of her. By golly, all of us, every time there's a crisis affecting the reputation of the institution, we all what do you call this? Circle the wagons. Look at that glitch. I was not going to help out because never mind. This is Abba's job. But since it was, I'm the one whom the press really tries to contact. So I said, okay, I'll do it. We circle the wagons when there's a crisis. But this Peralino, she creates a crisis. And then she is happy that we are all helpless because we're not forcing her. Now, she's going to have a problem in the future because the respect of the directors and the personnel is very important, when you're a commissioner. They love me. They respect me. They love me, even if I'm very strict. I'm the only, because of me, all the guards now salute the commissioners when they get out of the elevator. Oh, now they greet us, good morning, good afternoon. Ingat po kayo when we leave. Before, by golly. So the respect of the directors and the personnel is very important to every commissioner. And the respect of the people. Me, everywhere I go, I make sure that I am respected for my competency. Never mind if they don't love me, as long as they respect me. But she has created a problem for herself because she's very junior and she, crossed her senior commissioners. And in fact, did the unthinkable, unforgivable offense of defeating our vote in the Marcos disqualification cases. We will never forget that. The people in COMELEC and the people will never forget that. Bilog naman ang the wheel is round, I already said, Commissioner Peralino, what you're doing is already violation of Section 3C of the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, where you're delaying your decision to favor a litigant. That is graft, and that is an impeachable offense. Impeachable offense. But it's maybe the Baker is very powerful that can withstand the next administration. Are you sure? Are you sure Marcos will win? I agree with President Duterte. Marcos Jr. is weak. He has a weak moral fiber, as shown in these cases. That is why I voted that he should be disqualified for having been convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude. He is weak.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Drio.
Salamat po.
We have another question coming up from another member of the foreign press, Mr. Karu Okada of Daily Manila Shimbun.
Hello, thank you very much for the opportunity. I would like to ask about it seems President Duterte using double connection for appointing commissioners. Do you believe it is an evil practice or something? Same things happened before the administration too? Your personal opinion, pa?
It's evil practice. I think your translation is a bit too much. But in the previous, with the previous president, it wasn't like that. And you can see the quality, you know. Most of us were from, you know, the quality was different. And now, because they are all, most of them are coming from Mindanao, you know. It's not only because they all come from the same place. It's because, you know, that's a very shallow bench to choose from, you know, to choose your players from. If they're all coming from the same place, it's a shallow bench. But that is the privilege of the president. All I ask now is that to reform the applicants for commissioners of all constitutional commissions should go through the Judicial and Bar Council, because we perform quasi-judicial functions. So this way, the Judicial and Bar Council is composed of retired justices, and the Chief Justice, Secretary of Justice, and one senator or one congressman. They're what do you call this? Legal luminaries, and they will scrutinize the applicant's legal practice experience and judicial experience. That's all I ask. That we should reform this and give it back to the Judicial and Bar Council, because before, you know, in the old days, it was like that. The president will appoint from the short list of the Judicial and Bar Council, like what he does for justices and judges.
Thank you very much. Follow-up question po. So do you feel yourself gonna be in danger by this divulge or something? Yeah. You think you put yourself in danger since tomorrow you're gonna be retired? Yeah. So have you ever received any threat or harassment so far?
Yeah. Well, I get harassed by these Marcos lawyers saying all this nonsense and threatening me with forfeiting my retirement benefits. I said, so that's why yesterday I challenged Feralino. Let's resign together. In a way, you have nothing to lose. Me, I have around 20 million in pension retirement to lose. I'm willing to resign with Feralino together. Sign our resignation in front of the church, so God is watching us. Because I'm not, do not threaten me with losing my retirement benefits. I have been raised by, my father was a war hero. I'm sorry about the Japanese Imperial Army. And my mother was a board member of the state provincial legislature, politician for 33 years. I was raised by two strong patriotic people who loved who loved our country above more than I think they loved themselves, because they went through so many hardships during the war, and they trained me and my brothers and sisters to be ready to make sacrifices for your country. You must love your country next to God. That's what our parents taught us. So, sir, I am not afraid of these threats of losing money, losing my life, losing my reputation. It's them who should be afraid of me, because they will lose their reputation. They will lose their jobs if I initiate an impeachment complaint against them. Because, you know, when I'm retired, I have plenty of time now. And I will have more than enough money now for all my hobbies, no? So, for your benefit, I'll tell you now what I'm going to do. Next week, I will have billboards in Metro Manila that says, labanan ng mali, labanan ng masasama. You know, fight evil. See? The word evil came from you. That's your contribution. Fight evil, fight the bad. That's going to be in billboards all over Metro Manila. And I'm going to keep on talking about my separate opinion. You know, the alumni of the UP Economics Towards Consciousness, they want to listen to me. the students want to listen to me, I'm just going to keep on teaching. Keep on teaching. Anyway, online teaching is very nice. I can just wear my pajamas and all day and still write my books. And no, sir, I'm not afraid of this threats, but you're right. There is really a risk to my security, peace of mind. That's why my friends also, they gave me police security and from other, what do you call this? From other law enforcement agencies. But when I'm a private citizen, I will not be entitled to security. So I just carry my own gun as usual. Because, I was mayor at 27, 28. I've been carrying a firearm for half of my life because it's necessary for my protection. But you are right. You just reminded me and I thank you. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Kaoru. Commissioner, before we go on to our next round of questions, you mentioned that by next week we can probably expect some billboards in Metro Manila with your campaign, and you mentioned also that now you're gonna have time for all your hobbies and money also for your hobbies. So, are you going to be filing an impeachment complaint against Commissioner Feralino?
I will wait for the next election.
Okay.
Because, since she is for Bongbong Marcos, if he wins, what's the use of me filing an impeachment complaint? But if he loses, there's the rub. Aha! There's the rub.
To be clear,
my friends, they should not scare me because, I am doing this for the country. I'm not doing this for myself. As long as my family is with me, my brothers and sisters are supporting me, they're proud of me. Even my nieces abroad, they're proud of me and they tell me, Tita Bing, we're proud of you. We stand with you. And that's enough for me. I can fight all of them as long as my family stands with me. And that includes my friends, the people who believe in me. Even my sorority, the UP Women Lawyer Circle issued already a statement. The IBP of Makati issued a statement. The IBP of Quezon City is about issues. The Philippine Bar Association issued, my peers in the legal profession issued a statement. Senator Manny Pacquiao issued a statement. Soto, BP Lenny. Oh, it's only BBM who's not issuing a statement. Mr. Marcos Jr., you should issue a statement. If you did not have a hand in this, sir, you should issue a statement. Because, I know the Marcoses are not vindictive. You should issue a statement, Mr. Marcos Jr., because all of these issues might endanger my life. There are people who are very loyal to you. They might, how it is. So you should issue a statement also for my protection. Because, I'm a friend of your family. Oh, you look at the Facebook of Senator Amy Marcos. Was I not the one who raised her hand and proclaimed her senator? Because she's my classmate in the UP College of Law. Was I not there during some social occasions and held Imelda's hand, said, "Good evening, madam"? Oh, I'm not your enemy, Mr. Marcos Jr. I'm not your enemy. In fact, I am helping you. If your case will go up to the Supreme Court as soon as possible, it will be more beneficial to you. And if you're not DQ'd, fine. If you're DQ'd, then your wife can substitute. It's for your benefit and the nation's interest, Mr. Marcos, that this case is resolved by the Supreme Court as soon as possible. And since we are only 3 months away from the elections.
Since you're mentioning po that the Marcoses are, not vindictive, and it's actually in their interest that this moves forward as quickly as possible, could you maybe let us in on, before I move on to Rise, I just wanted to ask this question. Could you maybe let us in on what the interests are of this particular senator of this particular senator whom you claim is pressuring Commissioner Ferolino. Ano yung kinalaman niya kung bakit gusto niyang magkaroon ng delay?
There are many motivations for some people, you know. There are many motivations why they do this, do what they do. But obviously, he's favoring Bongbong Marcos. I won't anymore tell you his name because anyway, his wife already knows.
Riza, I think it's your turn if you're there.
Yes,
questions.
Commissioner, from your narrative of events, no, about what could happen if the Supreme Court moves on the Bongbong Marcos case after the elections, it would seem to me
Yes.
that it's not Bongbong Duterte. Because then he's defined later on by the Supreme Court is going to be president.
Could you repeat that?
Sorry, Riza, medyo choppy. Could you repeat your question?
Very bad.
The connection seems to be
Marcos.
choppy. Oh. Riza, maybe we can go back to you later, or you can type your question out into the chat box. Because it's the connection is quite choppy. But for now, we have a follow-up question, Commissioner Guanzon. Riza, please maybe type your question in the chat box, or we can go back to you later, because the connection is quite choppy. So for now, let's go to a follow-up question from Jacob Lazaro of One News. Just a quick follow-up question po. For those for those who are not familiar with the legalese, Commissioner. Jacob, get ready to ask your question.
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Please
Jacob,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Commissioner, curious question lang po, if you as the presiding commissioner, could you not have been the ponente too?
Oh no, because we have a rule that 1 year before we retire, we should not have ponencias anymore, so that we can retire with zero backlogs. That's why I am going to retire with zero backlog. I have 53 cases to go to sign up to midnight of February 2. And my lawyers are not allowed to sleep until they finish. And that's the reason why it was not raffled to me. But that's a good question. I think the COMELEC should reform the rules, the NBank. Because, for example, in what if there are only 4 of them and 2 are retiring?
Yeah.
You know, it can happen. They should have a provision for that. That if the retiring commissioner is willing, she can, but only so many cases. You're right. I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Akala ko lang po ba baka may conflict of interest kasi kayo na po yung presiding commissioner at bawal na yung ponente rin kayo?
Hindi. Pwede naman ako. It's because I'm retiring and they assume. That's the rule, because they assume if you're retiring, you have to finish your backlogs.
Okay po. Well, congratulations po. Yung asa ko rin. Congratulations sa zero backlog nyo. But in relation dun sa retirement ceremony, will it be open sa media for coverage?
It will be on live stream because, you know, we have to avoid COVID. It will be on live stream. James Jimenez will be covering it on live stream.
Okay. Thank you so much. Ay, pero babalik po ba kayo sa COMELEC office after that? Or anything for like...
Oh yeah, because my my, what do you call this, personal, what do you call this, collections are there. My stamp collections, my paintings. I want to be the one to wrap them, myself. The Starbucks mugs that the directors gave me everywhere they traveled. I have so many from all over the world. It's so sweet of them. Well, I'm gonna have to store it because I have been shortlisted for Deputy Ombudsman for the Visayas. So I'm praying that God will bless my plans. I don't know how President Duterte views me now, but he certainly knows me as a no-nonsense strong woman. So let's see if the president will appoint me. That would be great. Deputy Ombudswoman for Visayas. We're gonna put all these thieves to jail. I think that's a good job. Yeah, that's a good job. But teaching is also a good job for me. I mean, I don't mind at all.
Well,
I
there's no
also
doubt.
do a lot of gardening. I'm writing my election book now. My local government code is in the UP printing press. So I'm a very busy woman in the head. So I still pray for that God will bless my plans.
Well, there's no doubt naman that you're a strong woman, and everybody's been impressed with how you've come forward with your thoughts and on this matter. But I just want to quick follow up lang po. What time will the ceremony be tomorrow?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock p.m.
We will be in our robes. Have you seen us in our robes?
Yes, in the website, and I have to say you look fabulous.
I will wear a dress. That's the only time I wear a dress, when I'm wearing a robe.
Yes, sige po. Thank you so much, Commissioner.
Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you, Jacob.
Well, we're on our last leg of questions na po. Let's go on to Ron Lopez of AFP.
Hi, Commissioner Guanzon. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Commissioner, if this case drags on for months, and if Bongbong Marcos wins the presidency and he assumed office, and then the Supreme Court disqualified him, he won't be automatically removed, right? There has to be proceedings first. I mean,
No,
I don't think he will just.
Yeah.
I don't think he will just step down because the Supreme Court says so, because he's already in power. He has the.
What do you think he will not just step down?
So what do you think will happen with the country? What will be the scenario? Do you think it will be, because this hasn't happened before, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So what do you think will happen?
After this, let's say the Supreme Court disqualifies him after he has already assumed office. He can file a motion for reconsideration. That could drag on another 6 months, 1 year. That's what they're hoping for, even if he's disqualified. But he won't step down. Do you think President Duterte will allow him to do that when the sitting president, if he's disqualified, should be Mayor Sara, if she's elected vice president? It's going to be very messy. Very messy. And he cannot just say, no, I won't step down. I will live in Malacanang. He cannot do that. He cannot do that anymore. Short of declaring martial law, which is only for 30 days and with consent of Congress, cannot do that anymore. Never again. Raisa Robles, never again.
Ron, do you have a follow-up?
Thank you, Commissioner.
Just related po to that, Commissioner Guanzon, Raisa Robles' question is here in the chat box, and based on what you've mentioned, it would seem from this narration of events, it's not BBM who would benefit from the delay possibly, but Sara Duterte, and that precisely she could slide down to become president probably, if ever he gets elected, and then the decision comes out only after the elections. So could you comment on this possible turn of events?
But that is the law. That is the law. the predicament of Marcos Jr. is that if Mayor Sara is elected, President Duterte is not going to allow him to hang on to Malacanang, even if the Supreme Court already decided with finality that he is disqualified. It's going to be a problem for him.
Okay. Just very last question. Okay. Just a couple more last questions before we go. We have Barnaby Law from FOCAP. Barnaby.
Yes, Commissioner Guanzon, I'd just like to clarify because you mentioned earlier, I hope I heard it right. You said that Commissioner Ferolino defeated your votes. So,
and Commissioner Casquejo's vote.
Yes, so you're saying
defeated 2 of our votes. She disrespected 2 senior commissioners. Now what do you think?
Yeah. So yes. So
how can she do that without on her own, without backing of powerful people?
Right. So what you're saying is that Commissioner Casquejo's vote was or is also to disqualify Ferdinand.
I don't know that, but that's probably the reason why she's hijacking the ponencia, because they suspect his vote is also to DQ. Because
So
there was no. That's why I was wondering, why is she holding on to this? Did the president order anything? I don't think it's like that, because we were mayors together. So that's why Sal Panelo, former spokesman, came out and said, no, the president, it said never interfere with constitutional commissions. If he finds out that somebody is throwing their weight around because they're close to him, he's going to get angry.
Because what Commissioner Ferolino is saying, that she hasn't even come out with her decision, and she's arguing that there is no deadline.
No deadline? She should read that rule of 15 days, and if she doesn't like it, she can eat it. So that it doesn't exist.
Okay.
We have rules. We are a country of rules. We should have the rule of law. Even the spokesman, Secretary Nograles, said there are rules precisely for an orderly conduct of affairs, speedy administration of justice. If you just do what you like, what kind of person are you? Why did you seek public office? If you will not follow rules, you don't like the 15-day rule, you eat it so that it will not exist.
So then, is it a foregone conclusion for you that at the COMELEC, at the level of the 2nd Division, that Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is not going to be disqualified?
I don't know, because I cannot tell the future. No?
Okay.
I don't know, but there's going to be another raffle, because Senior Commissioner Inting will be presiding on the 1st Division. And she's not disqualified from, nothing is prohibiting her from being ponente. She's not retiring. So there will be another raffle.
Okay.
So they succeeded in, just stopping my vote. So they delayed it for a month? But Commissioner Casquejo will still be able to vote on motion for reconsideration. See? But maybe they think that this vote is for DQ also, because he's very quiet, no? But I know he's been studying. I don't even know his vote. But they suspect, siguro, because they cannot call him. That's why this is happening. I just wish the president would appoint, commissioners who have an extensive legal practice experience or judicial experience, because this is why this is happening. If you have a long experience in practice of law and judicial practice, you will be respectful of your peers. Yeah.
Okay.
Really be collegial. Even if you disagree with each other, you can still be, respectful. Because it's not all the time that they'll agree with you. You will also disagree with them. But that is why this is a collegial body, one vote each. But you cannot hijack a resolution just because you're the ponente. And then she'll say that she is not my subordinate. How can she be not my subordinate? I'm the presiding commissioner. It's my job to ensure speedy administration of justice. What I told Andy Bautista before, it's not applicable in this case because Andy was chair, and they sent me a memo to explain why. What do you call this? Why I signed the pleading and comment in the Supreme Court, which is not correct. It's not even in my division. I am the most senior commissioner. I am primus inter pares, first among equals. I think, my friends, on that note, we can now end this because my poodles are now wanting my affection.
Can we have one final question from Reuters?
One last from Reuters.
One final.
One last po from Reuters. Karen?
Hi, thank you. Hi, Commissioner. Thank you so much. Just a quick question. Earlier, you said Commissioner Ferolino favors a litigant, which you even said is an impeachable offense. And in this case, you're referring to Bongbong Marcos. And then you also repeat, you said again that she is favoring BBM. But Mom, what proof do you have? Is it because of the delay? And then can you also explain, because the connection was bad a while ago when you were explaining about the ponencia. When you say hijacking a ponencia, what does that exactly mean? Since you were, I think, explaining a while ago how one is assigned to be the ponente of a decision. So how can someone be hijacking a ponencia when that has been assigned to write the decision?
She's hijacking it because she has a limit of 15 days. And I'm retiring. That's why she hijacked it. It's hijacking if you don't release it after 15 days and under these circumstances. When two commissioners are leaving the division so that they cannot vote. Isn't that hijacking?
Okay, and that's the reason, Ma'am, you are convinced that she is favoring Bongbong Marcos.
Yes, especially that, after January 10, the raffle, and before January 17, the hearing where she was present, she came to my office. Almost more than an hour. She was there consulting me about 2 cases. And we talked about it, the January 17, what do you call this, release of resolution, because in the first division, that's just always been our unwritten rule, especially with the pandemic, since I was living in Bacolod. The papers will have to go back and forth through air cargo. And then she gives me that excuse of our lawyer being sick. I said, okay, but you have 15 days. Ay, gali, on the 15th day, wala pa rin. Nada. So I said, no, this is not funny anymore. So I texted her on the 24th, you waive it. Ikaw magsulat, you write it. Why are you relying on your lawyers? Doesn't she know how to write? No, I'm seriously asking her. You don't know how to write a decision? You should have waived it in favor of Commissioner Casquejo on the 24th. Because on the 25th, Commissioner Casquejo called her up, asking her to return his call, texting, wala na let's not go back to Ferolino, let's go back to Marcos. He's convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude. The evidence and the law shows very clearly that he has a weak moral fiber. I agree with President Duterte. He is weak. He should be disqualified for good.
Oh, last
okay,
point,
I cannot anymore because I have another interview also. Guys, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I gave you already, what do you call this, more than an hour and a half, and I'm sore. Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Guanzon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay.